السلام على الحسين وعلى يا علي بن الحسين وعلى يا أولاد الحسين وعلى يا أصحاب الحسين الذين بذلوا مهجهم دون الحسين عليه السلام. Tonight is the night where we remember the martyrdom of the sons of Imam Al Hassan alayhi salam, especially the son Al Qasim. After the martyrdom of Imam Al Hassan alayhi salam, Al Qasim, Abdullah Al Akbar, Abdullah Al Asghar, and Hassan Al Muthanna all were martyred on the plains of Karbala. The two Abdullahs went out into the battlefield and were slaughtered. As for Hassan al-Muthanna, he too was in the battlefield, his arm was severed, and they took him. His mother's tribe came forward because he was knocked out unconscious. His mother's tribe came forward, took Hassan al-Muthanna, they treated him, they healed him, and he lived on and carried on the lineage of Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam. But tonight is the story of a young boy, and his story is truly tragic. Based on our research and what's happened to him in Maqtal al-Hussein, we will be going and describing exactly what's happened to this young individual. Take your minds to the day of Ashura. Al-Qasim approaches Imam al-Hussein on two occasions. The first occasion was after the martyrdom of all the companions. Al-Qasim approaches his uncle and says, "Oh Ammaya, oh my master, my Imam, please grant me permission to go into the battlefield and fight the enemies of Islam." Al-Hussein looks at his nephew and he says, "Oh my nephew, you resemble my brother Al-Hassan. How can I let you go out into the battlefield?" The second time when Al-Qasim approached Imam Al-Hussein was after the martyrdom of Ali al-Akbar. He goes to Imam al-Hussein and requests, "Please let me go out and defend Islam." But his request was denied. Al-Qasim walks away from Imam al-Hussein slowly and sits outside the tents, the camp of Hussein. He starts to call out. Imagine him saying, "I wish I can go out and fight, show the enemies all my might, show them my bravery and courage I would portray, and my father's honor I would display. The enemies, all that they want is wealth and money. They do not know that for me death is sweeter than honey." After a while, Al-Qasim's mother by the name of Ramlah, she approaches him. She tells him, "Oh my child, why are you upset?" And he explains to her the situation. She reminds Al-Qasim of the letter left by Imam Al-Hassan, and for him to open it during a time of great necessity. And as Al-Qasim opens this letter, he starts to read, "Peace be upon you, O my son Qasim. When the day comes when you see my brother Hussein alone in the battlefield, you too go and fight and defend him." Al-Qasim rushes towards his Imam with this letter. He began kissing the feet of Imam al-Hussein. He says to Imam al-Hussein, "My uncle, I have a letter from my father. Imam Al Hussein began reading this letter. Imam Al Hussein recognizes the handwriting of his brother Al Hassan. He starts crying and weeping. Al Qasim at this time was still bent down, kissing the feet of Imam Al Hussein. Al Hussein picks up Al Qasim and embraces him. Al Qasim misses his father, and Imam Al Hussein misses his brother. They began hugging and crying, crying and weeping. Wa Husseina. Al Hussein cried so hard that he fell unconscious. After he regained consciousness, he requested for some garments to be brought to him. He put his hands inside the case and he took out the amana of Imam Al Hassan. He started wrapping Al Qasim with these garments. It's as if Al Hussein is wrapping Al Qasim not with garments but rather the clothing for his janazah. Al Hussein tells Qasim to go and bid farewell to his aunt Zainab and to go bid farewell to his mother Ramla. At this moment in time, Al Qasim resembled his father greatly. If he goes to his aunt Zainab, what does she think? Does she think, has my brother returned to me? And if he goes to his mother, does she think, has my husband returned to me? And as he goes to his mother, this is the last time she will see him alive. Ajarakum Allah. As if she says to him, for you, a bride I just did find. How could you leave your mother behind? So young and yet so brave. Go on, the message of Allah save. Hard it is for a mother to bid farewell to her son and give him the final farewell. Al Qasim bid farewells to all the women and children. As he goes into the battlefield, he walks inside the battlefield. Yes, walked. Why? Because this young boy couldn't mount the horse. Ajarakum Allah. He put on the sandals of his father and went into the battlefield. He fought like a brave warrior on the day of Ashura, all alone against all the thousands of the enemies. Imam Al Hussein watched on as his young nephew fought with a smile in his face, happy because of the courage of Al Qasim, killing all the enemies in his place. And Al Qasim calls out, if you do not know me, I am the son of Hassan, and this is Hussein that you are treating as a prisoner and have seized him. He fought and fought, killing some of the high-ranking officials from Syria, Al-Arzaq and his brothers. He fought and fought up to the extent where the enemies had to push back. This young valiant warrior defending Islam, defending the Imam of his time, and defending all the children in the camps. As the enemies pushed by, Al Qasim noticed that his sandal was undone. Al Qasim and bent down to tie his sandal. Ajarakumullah. This gave the opportunity for the enemies to come closer. One of the enemies called out, regardless of the beauty of this young boy, I will fill his uncle with grief by killing him. May the woe of the Arabs be upon me if I do not kill him. Ajarakumullah. As Al-Qasim finished tying his sandal, he didn't have a chance to come fully upwards, and the enemy of Allah came towards Al-Qasim. He lifted his sword and struck it on the head of Qasim. Al-Qasim collapses to the floor. He calls out, "My uncle, help me!" I was contemplating whether to narrate this next part of the musibah. However, the truth must be told and the tragedies of the Ahlul Bayt must be said. The enemies of Allah did not stop there. Whilst Qasim was lying there on the plains of Karbala, they started beating him down. They took a sword and pierced his chest, and one of the enemies of Allah took a sword and ripped open the belly of Qasim. One of the enemies got a spear and stabbed it in the back of Qasim. Al-Hussein rushing towards Al-Qasim, and the enemy scatter, scared of Hussein. Al-Hussein sees Qasim in the state, his head torn open, a hole in his chest and his belly wide open. Hard it is for an uncle to see this. He says, "Away with your killers, for on the day of judgment their opponents will be your grandfather." At this moment in time, Al-Qasim was still alive, his body shaking and his legs moving rapidly on the plains of Karbala. Al-Hussein continued to say, "Hard it is by Allah that you call upon your uncle and he does not respond to your call, or that he does but he cannot do much for you. It is a lone voice whose enemies are numerous and companions are few." He takes Al-Qasim onto his lap as if he says, "My tears for you keep flowing. I want the whole world for them to be showing. How could they kill such a young youth from the family of truth? Indeed are they blind and leaving the opportunity of heaven behind." And the soul of Qasim leaves its body. Al-Qasim is martyred. Ajarakumullah. Al-Hussein takes the body of Qasim and brings it back towards the tent. He places it next to the body of Ali al-Akbar, and Al-Hussein calls out, "Wa walada wa aliya wa walada wa Qasima." The women hear this and they come rushing. They see the state of Qasim and they throw their bodies on Qasim. The tragedies do not end there when it comes to the children of Hassan. Later on that day, when the body of Hussein is laying there on the plains of Karbala, he is badly beaten and bruised and bleeding but still alive. The young brother Abdullah of Al-Qasim sees his uncle lying there. So he rushes into the battlefield alone by the age of 11. Sayyidina Sayyidah Zainab did not have a chance to grab him before he went away. He approached the body of Hussein. A man by the name of Bahar ibn Ka'ab at this moment, he had lifted his sword ready to strike Hussein. But Abdullah said to him, "O son of the corrupt woman, are you going to strike my uncle?" And this young boy leaped in front of Hussein, taking the impact on his hand, causing Abdullah to fall into the lap of Hussein. Al-Hussein said to him, "O son of my brother, be patient upon what has befallen us. Consider its goodness from Allah the Exalted, and you will be with your righteous ancestors." But indeed the tragedies do not end there. Harmal al-La'in, the same man who killed Ali al-Asghar, he sees this opportunity. He sees that Hussein lying on the plains of Karbala and Abdullah in his lap. He takes his arrow, he places it inside the bow, he pulls it back and shoots it on Abdullah. Abdullah dies there instantly in the lap of Hussein. Wa Husayna, wa Hasana, wa Abdullah, wa Qasima.